Hello, my name is Haowei Zhang. Here's my presentation of the Before Your Eyes. Um, the argument of the game is an illusion of agency made by the blinking mechanism shapes the narrative. Yeah, and here we go to the table of contents. Um, so my presentation consists of four parts. The first part is narrative, and the second part is agency, and the third part is encoding and decoding, and the fourth part is about the influence, like further influence on the game industry. Well, these three, I mean the part one, two, three is actually the three terms I selected. Um, for the narrative part, it's about the overall narrative of the game, and for the agency part, it's about how does the players interact with the narrative, and the third part is about how this interaction comes with the emotions, and these three terms interact well. Um, the pattern of the interaction is like the agency uh, of the game is like the blanking mechanism is encoded by the game developer and is decoded through the same way by players. And this encoding and the decoding process greatly come with a specific kind of emotion, which contributes a lot to the game narrative. So here we go to the first part. The first part is about narrative. Before your eyes uses the innovative mechanism of eye tracking to immerse players in a reflective narrative about life, death, and memory. By forcing players to blink through like key moments, the game highlights the fleeting nature of like time and memories, creating a story that is both deeply personal and universally relatable. Um, Also, the narratives like the its strength greatly lies in the emotional resonance, compelling players to confront themes of regret and acceptance. And yeah, as you can see on the PowerPoint, on the side, um, it's like two examples of this blinking mechanic. Um, on this graph, I don't know if you can see my mouse index. This is about the like players can make choice through blinking, uh, like through aiming at a specific point of the game and blinking to make the choice. And in other parts of the game, players can just blink to escape some scenes. This also creates some great emotions, which we'll be talking later. And about agency, um, like the eye tracking mechanism is limited the traditional player agency like in other games, um, like maybe Elden Ring or some other games, like players need to can is able to like walk around and talk with non-player characters and even interact with the whole world in some specific ways, um, like solving a puzzle maybe. But in this game, the traditional player agency is greatly limited because the only way to interact with the game is just to blinking your eyes. But this restriction also ties into the game's theme, which we'll be talking later in encoding and decoding part. Um, Also, though it's limited, the constraint agency creates a tension between the player's desire for control and the narrative's push toward progression. Um, for example, it's just like the mechanism we described in the last page, that that every time player just blinks their eyes, the game scene escape, and it comes to the next scene. It might let the players to miss some like important stories they want to actually see, because after all, generally it's a little hard to keep your eyes open for such a long time. And rather than diminishing the experience, the limited agency also deepens the engagement to let them to compel players to make irrevocable choices tied to their physical reflexes. Yeah, that's it. Um, Also, in one of our readings, um, I believe it's in our week week 11, it said the quote the quote said, um, agency in video games is not merely about making choices, but about experiencing the consequence of their choices. Um, yeah, it's pretty interesting one, and this one really resonates with the next part of our presentation. It's about encoding and decoding. Let's see how the game encodes blinking to blinking to escape to escape some of the game parts with some emotional context. Yeah. Uh, so in this part, the encoding and decoding model applies directly to the game storytelling. The developer encodes themes of inevitability, loss, and introspection, but each player decodes this part differently based on their own experiences and emotional responses. Games reliance on players' interpretation enhances this message. The meaning of life events is subjective, shaped by personal context and understanding. Um, yeah, and beyond this part, as you can see in the in the slide, the most of the scenes in the game is just like there are. I don't know how to explain this. It's like, I mean, many of the views are black. It's kind of like the background, but also shapes a feeling of, shaping a sense of memory, because like you are like diving into your memory, and some of your memory is just like not so clear for you, and but the important parts, for example, this piano and this cat, and the figure of the character's mom playing piano, um, is relatively rememberable. Yeah, it also creates a feeling that the player uh, is totally immerse themselves into the narrative, um, and just view the story of the main character in their first view. It's like that. And let's talk about the further influence of this game on the game industry. Firstly, the most important one is that it explores new ways of interaction. Um, it utilizes new ways of interaction mainly by explores uh, new potentials of human organs. I don't know how to explain this. Like for eyes, most of the games just like, oh, we will make some, like for example in map design, in level design, some of the designers use some visual elements to get the players to step on the correct ways. That's just a simple utilization of their player's eyes. But this game also incorporates the behavior of blinking, the action of blinking into this game, and using it to create some special feelings, which has been described before. Yeah, and this game also examines the need for making branching open narratives to realize the player's feeling of agency towards the narrative. For example, in many of the modern games, all the all the video game makers put all of their efforts on making games like open world, branching narrative, open narrative, but sometimes it wouldn't work. And this game just like proves that there's no actually need to use like the branching open narrative to realize the player's feeling of agency towards the narrative. Like the the choices of this game actually is not so enough for players to play the game totally liberally, but the player still has a feeling of agency towards the game, towards the game. Yeah, because they feel like every time they make a physical movements like blanking, the narrative just push forwards. It's pretty interesting. And the last part is some other evidence. The picture on the right, sorry, my bad. The picture on the right is from the screenshot of a comment under the page of Before Your Eyes on Steam. It's Chinese, but I will translate it. It said, he says it's pretty feel uncomfortable because he always wants to keep his eyes open, and being blamed by the wolf guy for many times, and yeah, that's a part of the emotional encoding part of the game. Like, the player totally understands the encoding and understands the blinking action as a like it relates this action with missing some important memorable moments. Yeah, and A said, he thought he can make some choices to control, to change, to control the branching narrative of the game, but he don't know, he doesn't know that, whatever he chooses, it's all part of the game. It's all part of the life of the main character. To like imagine the life after his death. Yeah, just like that. And thanks for listening. That's all of my presentation.